We have Jeanette Flores, Information Technology Consultant for ITS Training, and Sonia Perez Gamboa, Information Technology Consultant in the Nursing Department. And their topic is Latinas in Education. Welcome, you two.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you, guys. And I'm just going to hand it off to you and let you talk about the wonderful things that we want to discuss about having more Latinas in this space for IT technology. So thank you.
Oh, Jeanette, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Am I sharing the right screen? The PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm very excited about having this conversation. The topic is Latinas in IT. Just want to make sure that I'm sharing the right screen.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So to get started, my co-presenter and I'm Jeanette Flores. I work as an information technology consultant for the Training Services and for Technology Support Center. And then we have Sonia. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Sonia.
Hey everyone, I'm Sonia Perez Gamboa. I'm the IT consultant for the College of Natural Sciences, specifically for nursing and for kinesiology. And I'm also a part-time lecturer for the School of Computer Science and Engineering.
All right, so we're going to get started. I'm really excited about having this conversation and just having this topic. So before I get started with the actual content, I just want to share with you all that Latinas in IT, I've had the opportunity to share this topic at the HEADS conference in February of 2022. So the way that it all started, to give you a little bit of background information, is as part of my professional development, I attended a leadership academy through HETS, which is Hispanic Educational Technology Services Academy. In that academy, I was asked, we were asked a question to find a problem in your institution, not in your institution, but in where you work, a problem that you can see how you can actually help bridge a gap. So working in the IT division and just with my various, just dealing with the Hispanics, students and staff and even community members that contact me, I was thinking, hey, we need more Latinos in IT. We need more bilinguals in IT in general. So that's how I defined that problem. I found that problem, not that it's a problem, but where we can actually do more. So I submitted a proposal and I ended up winning the Access track. And I got to present in February of 2022 in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So in May of this year, I also presented this same topic at our CSU SB Learn conference, and also at our CSU Wide Tech Conference. And next week, I'm going to be presenting this at EDUCAUSE in Colorado. So it all started with an idea, something that I experienced and as a Latina, and how I'm just trying to get the word out. So I'm really excited about this. And I'm going to start with my personal journey, just sharing a little bit of information about myself and why it is that this is so important to me. I was born and raised in San Bernardino. I'm the daughter of immigrants. My father is from Ecuador and my mother is from Guatemala. So they came to this country over 50 years ago. I'm the first generation college student, graduated from here back in 2001 with a degree in criminal justice. And I recently, with all my, just the research that I've been doing, it just gave me that, it sparked a little interest in me and to pursue my master's in public administration with a leadership concentration. So to share a little bit more about myself, although I was born in the United States, I experienced discrimination early on in my education, beginning in elementary. So being that Spanish is my native language, I was enrolled in the ESL program. And that's where I started experiencing that discrimination that really did affect me. And it wasn't until years later on in life that I started putting pieces together. And as I started doing this project, I was like, oh my God, this is what has been hindering me, because those experiences really did cause me to doubt myself. So for instance, just to give you a brief example, we didn't have the textbooks. My instruction was 50% in Spanish, 50% in English. We didn't have the resources available in a timely manner. Another thing that I experienced, and I remember very clearly, is how our teacher, she asked us to stand in line, and she asked the students that were born in the United States to stand to the right, and the ones that were born in another country to stand on the left-hand side. So all of those little things that I experienced just caused me to really shut down. And to top it off, my parents did not speak English. So I really did feel alone through this process and early on in my education. So I'll move on to high school, where my advisor, he recommended me to join the typing class when I didn't want to do that. I wanted to pursue other types of, I wanted to pursue the business aspect of, that elective. And he just said, no, go ahead and do typing. And I didn't even question it because I didn't feel empowered. So I really do feel that it starts early on. And that's why this is very passionate topic to me. So why it's important to me to have this discussion is because I'm a mother of 3 girls, and I want them to succeed in life. I want them to know early on that anything is possible, that there is no limitation for them. And I really want to be that voice, make a difference not only in my children, but in our communities. So as part of this, what I'm doing is just helping support and empower these young girls that perhaps go through similar experiences that I went through 30 plus years ago. And of course, educating parents. And the reason I say this is because I'm going to share a brief example with you all. During our transitioning to remote learning, I'm a leader at our church, and it's a Spanish church. I had the mothers, Spanish speakers, that would come to me, just really concerned about the fact that they couldn't get a hold of the teachers during this period. And I had 2 students that were failing. She didn't know she had that language barrier. She couldn't get a hold of anyone to help support her child as she transitioned to Google Classrooms. So I would sit there and I just help provide that technical training, help translate letters, help prepare emails to address these concerns. And this is 2 years ago. And I was experiencing something similar, and I didn't have anyone to advocate for me. So that's why this topic, Latinas in IT, is important to me. I really do feel that it's something that we need to empower our students, our Latinas at early on in their career. And not only Latinas, just minorities in general, girls in general. I'll hand it over to Sonia now.
Thank you, Jeanette. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Sonia Perez Gamboa, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm so happy that Jeanette invited me to be a part of this talk. So just a little bit about me. Very similar to Jeanette, I was born and raised in the Inland Empire. So I grew up in San Bernardino. I went to school just right down the street from here. Moved around a bit, but I'm also the daughter of immigrants. So my parents immigrated from Mexico. And so English was also my second language growing up, but thankfully I was able to catch on pretty quick. I am a first generation college student, and I'm a proud CSUSB alumni. So I got my bachelor's in computer science from here, and I also received my master's in computer science from here in CSUSB. And my research focuses in deep learning, and deep learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. And so I've really grown a love for that area, and that's something that I'm still currently researching and looking into. I'm currently working here at CSUSB. I am an information technology consultant for the departments of nursing and kinesiology. And all that means is I pretty much set up all the computers, laptops, all the labs, all the research equipment. I set up all of those devices, and then I also manage them using different software. So I'm like the help desk for these departments. I'm also a part-time lecturer for the Computer Science and Engineering, the School of Computer Science and Engineering, and I have the great privilege of teaching the Introductory Computer Science course. And in this course, I teach a lot of freshmen and sophomores how to program using C++. And it can be a challenging course, but I also find it super fulfilling because I'm teaching students that have very similar backgrounds to me and that come from our local community. And so I am very proud of working here at CSUSB, and I'm very happy with working here. And as Jeanette had talked about, there are reasons that I'm very passionate about this topic about Latinas in IT. Jeanette, if you can go to the next slide, please. So also, why is this important to me? The biggest thing is I really just want to educate our communities. I have a really deep love for the Inland Empire, and my journey through from elementary school all the way to now with my master's, it wasn't always an easy one, and there's a lot of obstacles. Growing up in a low-income family, growing up with immigrant parents that didn't even finish elementary school. I didn't know about computer science. I didn't know about IT. I didn't know about tech until my second year of college, and I just stumbled upon it. And so I feel like if I could help others in that position learn about these opportunities and avoid these obstacles, that's something that I really want to help for our community. Another one of the big reasons that this is important to me is that it is known that the computer and information scientists field, it has the biggest job growth that's projected in the next, between 2018 all the way up to 2028. There's a 17% expected job growth. And so that is the future. The future is tech. The future is that we need to fill these positions. And of course, this is an area that, as we'll see, Latinas are very underrepresented in this area. And so by educating the community, we can help move them into those jobs that are going to be available. We want all of our students, everyone in our community, to have great jobs. And then lastly, I do want to empower to break through societal and also through cultural barriers. Specifically Latinas, sometimes we come from a culture that can kind of set us back a little bit in some ways. It empowers us in a lot of ways, but unfortunately there are some negatives to it, specifically like the whole machismo side of it, where girls are expected to act a certain way and to do certain things. And so I believe by educating our community and empowering our students, specifically our Latina students, we could really help them break out of those barriers.
Thank you for that, Sonia. We're going to move on to our next screen, which is just some statistics that we want to share with you about women and Latinas in STEM and IT. Before we do this, for those of you that do not know what STEM stands for, it's the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is a broad term used to group these academic disciplines. So on the screen, you should be able to see a few of the many STEM careers that are available. So these are just a few so that you all can have an idea that it's not just, computer. There's much more to this field, a lot of growth and a lot of potential for our Latinas. Now, as I was doing my research, I found some statistics, and these were the latest ones. So the National Science and Engineering shows, this pie chart shows the STEM jobs by gender. So one of the things you'll notice that 66% of these jobs are occupied by men, and then 34% of these jobs are occupied by women. So this shows us that we have a long way to go. Now, when you look at the same National Science and Engineering, now looking at ethnicity, we see that as far as ethnicity goes, 77% are occupied by white. We have an underrepresented minorities, which is 23%. So minority women are about 7% of that underrepresented minority, which means that our Latinas are possibly 1 or 2%. So we have a long way to go again. So all of these are reasons that this conversation is necessary. This topic is definitely long overdue. Now, you also see that women in STEM. So if we have 44% if they have a bachelor's degree and 26% shot at having a job in STEM without a bachelor's degree. So this data clearly shows the importance of women earning their bachelor's degree. So the National Science and Engineering findings, they show that scientists and engineers are the backbones of the creation and development of STEM knowledge and expertise in the US economy. And we can see this on our daily life. We see how they are the backbone. So these jobs are necessary. As Sonia was mentioning, there is growth that is happening. So it's one of the biggest growth. And so we want to fill these positions with these Latinas and other minority women. And now I want to just say that it's not just Latinas, but since I'm a Latina, I'm going to be passionate for my people. But this is for all of our women. The status of the current workforce is seeing a shift from non-STEM to STEM jobs, and we see that as well. And jobs are requiring STEM skills and expertise to adapt and maintain new processes and technologies. So again, we can see that across the board. Now, looking at the San Bernardino County community indicators, it shows that it's consistent, even though this data is from 2010 to 2018, it continues to show that a bachelor's degree is needed. Now, remember, my project, Latinas in IT, wants to focus on our high school Latinas. So I pulled some data from the California Education Trust West. Unfortunately, it is older data, but there's not a lot of data when it comes to these statistics. But if you look at grade 8 in algebra, science, math, you see that the orange are the African Americans and the Latinos are that mustard colored. But you can see that in every subject, they're trailing behind significantly versus the white, which is the maroon, and Asians, which is that teal color. So as you can see, again, we have a long way to go. That's why I feel that it's important for me to give back to my community by educating, helping bridge that gap in the high schools. Sonia?
And then just another, just some more statistics to show you about women in IT, just to look at the numbers. In 2021, only about 26% of the computing workforce were women. And of overall, only about 2% of the computing workforce were specifically Hispanic or Latina women. And on the chart here on the right, we can see that the trend of those rates over the years between 2007 to 2019, Latinas and Hispanics have had the lowest rate when compared to the other races and ethnicities. And so it has slightly gone up over the years, but it's still the amount is not as much as we would like it to be.
All right. So existing issues in STEM and IT, it's the lack of diversity. So STEM careers consist of predominantly white males. And we see that the majority of these positions are occupied. As you saw in the previous charts, graph, it was about 70% of white that occupied these careers. Another issue is girls are not being exposed to the possibility of having a career in STEM early on in their education. So I've been reaching out to the San Bernardino district and just trying to talk to counselors and trying to talk to them about the possibility of partnership. So I am working on something, but I do see that in the San Bernardino County, there's still that girls are not being exposed to these possibility of careers. So one of the things is I remember I have 3 daughters. Two of them want to be teachers, and there's nothing wrong with being a teacher, but there's so many other opportunities, so many other careers that they can go into. So I have to even educate my children, just reminding them, hey, you don't only have to be a teacher, or, one of them wants to be a princess, but that's just a whole nother story. But just trying to educate our community. Like Sonia was saying, the Latino culture, you're a housewife and you're going to cook and have and feed your husband, and that's your job. And breaking those traditional barriers is another way that we can help, and that I want to help. And then lastly, on this lack of diversity, not enough women in STEM role models. So when I think about the role models, you talk about Bill Gates. We see Bill Gates, right? Microsoft. The Apple person, what's his name?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, and just you see Elon Musk, Tesla. So where are our women? Where are our Latinas, or where are minority women in general? So you don't see big names like that running big, powerful companies. So how can we address these issues? So I'm going to start by just saying outreach. That's why I am partnering with the San Bernardino School District to reach these students. Recently, I did a presentation for our Girl Scouts on campus. Their ages or grades 9, 10th, and I believe there was one group of them that were in 8th grade. And as I was doing a presentation to talk about this topic, the students were raising their hands and asking me, so what are you doing to help break this barrier? And I was really happy, because I was like, okay, they're asking these questions. So just getting the word out there, just telling my story, I feel that that's also helping, helping by making it personal, by telling them my personal story. Hey, this is what I went through. I went through these challenges, 30 plus years ago. You don't have to go through this. There are so many resources. In fact, through this project that I've been working on, Latinas in IT, I have found so many resources that I didn't even know existed on our campus. So for instance, we have the STEM Center, we have the cybersecurity program, and we just different resources that students need to know about, especially our students that are on campus at CSUSB that perhaps are undeclared. So just making better, just partnering with those departments and academic groups that can help, get the word out. Sonia?
Yeah, another thing that we could strive for is just to empower. And I really think that one of the greatest ways to empower people is just to educate them. And specifically for our students and for between high school and our current students is just educating them on the different avenues that they can take and making those avenues and more realistic to them. I think sometimes it can be intimidating to take the tech or IT route. And so we just have to educate them on the possibilities in order to empower them. And of course, mentorship and sponsorship. If a student feels lost, or if someone feels lost and they don't have any guidance, then it's very likely that they're going to give up, especially if they're trying to do something that they have no experience in, or something that they have no mentor. And so for having us speak out on our experiences and then also meeting with people that can guide them, that is really important to address these issues and to help increase the numbers of these underrepresented demographics in these areas.
So for the first time in the history of this country, we have a Mexican, our first Mexican or our first Latina that's going to be going to space. And I found it's 2022, right? So I found this to be very empowering because although we wish this would have happened years ago, I'm still seeing that representation right there. It's taken a long time, but that's where we educate and we empower so that there can be more of us out there doing big things. So what I am doing is outreaching, as I was saying, partnering with the San Bernardino School District to create an outreach program that will target Latina students in grades 9th and 10th. So throughout this process, I was talking to one of the faculty members, and she had mentioned that high school Latino students that need to learn the English language, they do not get an elective because they are pulled into this learning English, which means that they don't get that opportunity for the electives. So having a program with partnering with our IT division that can help these students, like an after school program, so they can learn about these different things that you can do in IT would be very helpful. So that's something that I'm working on currently. And then, of course, introducing Latina students to STEM career opportunities, providing those mentorship and mentoring and the resources. As I was telling you, in my research, I've been finding all of these different resources that I didn't even know were available. So there's a lot that is available to you as a student if you're interested in pursuing these opportunities.
Yeah, and as Jeanette, I think what Jeanette's doing with the outreach is really, really incredible and super important because, you know, I've experienced that. I grew up here in the Inland Empire. I graduated high school and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I also had no idea, again, I had no idea what tech was. I didn't even know that was a possibility. I was undeclared my first 2 years of college. I was completely lost. And again, it was just by pure luck that I ended up in a computer science course. And it's the first time I had heard about anything, and I loved it. And just imagine how many other Latinas are out there that don't even know about the possibilities that are available to them. And so outreach is so, so important. And then another part of outreach is just empowering again and educating our community on the opportunities that are available to them. I teach the introductory computer science course, and one thing I've noticed is that a lot of my students, they think that in computer science, you just have to go, you're a computer programmer and that's it. But that's not the case. You don't have to be good at coding. You don't have to be great at math to have a degree in this area and really excel. There's so many different job titles. There's a computer network architect, software developer, information security analyst, computer systems analyst, all these other, and so many more job titles. And I included the salaries on purpose because, you know, we want to work in jobs that we're passionate about, but of course, money is always a factor. Money is nice. And so these are jobs that are very competitive and compelling. And so we really want to let our students know that they can do this. They can get a degree in one of these areas and work in these different positions. You can click the next one. And again, so these are all titles that they might seem a little like, okay, you're just going to be working behind a desk, but these are jobs that can be found anywhere in any area of interest that you might have. You can click, please. So whatever interest someone has, they can very likely find some sort of tech job in that area. So like if you're interested in emerging technologies like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, all those positions are available in these companies. If you're interested in space engineering, NASA, SpaceX, even if you're interested in something like beauty, right? Like beauty, and you can work at a big company like Sephora or Ulta. If you're interested in health and wellness, you could work at a company like Fitbit. You're not limited to just working in one specific area. There's tech and IT is needed everywhere. And so what we could show our students is just find something that you're passionate about and you can get a job over there, whatever area you might be interested in.
Next.
Yes, please. And also, I think it's really important to remind our students that one of the most important qualities that you need in order to succeed in these fields, again, it isn't that you need to be a wizard at math or that you need to be a master coder. The biggest thing is that you just need to have a strong desire to figure out how things work. You need to have a desire to solve problems that are presented to you. You need to be okay with failing and not knowing things right away, but learning from those mistakes and learning how to fix things. And also you just need to strive to make things better and be more efficient. And these are qualities and characteristics that can be found across all demographics. And even specifically within the Latinas, you know, a lot of us come from backgrounds with immigrant parents where we have to step up and have a lot more responsibilities than the average person. And so these are qualities that our community has. And so these are qualities that they can apply to achieve these careers and to take these routes.
Yeah, these are great points that Sonia just talked about, and just empowering. I personally feel that because going back to my background, to my elementary school days, that I experienced that type of discrimination, that it made it difficult for me to be empowered. And it wasn't until like the last couple years that I finally started to feel more empowered, and, you know, later on in life. So I don't want that to be, you know, for our young Latinas. I want them to be empowered early on, as early as possible. Again, it all starts with also talking to the parents, letting them know about everything that is available to them, and that it's okay to fail as long as you don't give up. You know, just get up and try again. Sonia?
And another thing that we've mentioned that could help decrease or increase the presence of Latinas in this area is mentorship. And this is something, again, I wish I had this when I was even in college. I did not have a mentor. I went into my degree kind of blindly. I felt intimidated the whole time. I was very quiet. I was just, and I wished I had like a sense of community and had joined one of these clubs that are available. And so I think this is a great way that we can help our students. We can tell them about these different clubs that are available to them on campus. They can join the clubs, they can talk to other students, they can share experiences, and they can realize that they're not alone in what they're going through. And but then also a lot of times these clubs have faculty mentors, and these faculty mentors are going to be able to talk to these students and maybe meet one-on-one with them, and they can give them more advice on how they can succeed in these courses. I know sometimes, especially with with STEM degrees, there could be a high dropout rate because of students feeling they can't complete the degree. But by providing this support and with a mentor, with a club, then I think that could really help our students succeed in these courses that could be a little bit more difficult. Also, outside of the university, we could have our students get involved with organizations that just kind of promote women in tech. One of the ones that I'm aware of is Girls Who Code. They have chapters that all across the nation, and if there isn't a chapter within your specific area, you're actually able to start one yourself. And so I think this is a really great organization that we can get involved with to help our students. And again, I'm really passionate about all of this because these are all things that I wish that I had known when I was a student. You know, I'm an Inland Empire student. I'm someone that grew up around here, and the students that I have in my class, I see myself in a lot of my students. And I just want them to be able to do better than me, really.
Yeah, I agree with Sonia. It's really important. In my research, I was talking to cybersecurity Latino graduate. And he mentioned how there was a scholarship that was created specifically for Latinas, or for females, not Latinas, just females in general, for girls. And no one applied, which is really sad. And he said that he talked to some of the girls to get a feedback, to understand why they didn't apply. And the consensus was that they didn't feel like they were going to get the scholarship. So then they opened it up to both males and females. And of course, males applied. But the point here is there's so much that we can do as a community, as a university, that we can do to support our students, to empower our girls, to empower our Latinas, to empower any ethnicity, you know, just to empower to succeed. And ultimately, that is the strategic goal of our university. Aside from mentorship, it's not just about mentoring, because everyone can say, hey, I'm a mentor, but really it's about sponsorship. So I got this article, I came across this article from Laura Hogan, who actually asked the question, what does sponsorship look like? On the left, you have the mentorship and then the sponsorship. Have you tried applying to speak at conferences and meetups already? And then on the right, the sponsorship, I recommend you for this speaking gig. Can you do it? So what she's saying is that it's not just about, hey, I'm going to mentor you, but really helping cultivate that relationship, mentor-mentee relationship, so that that person can feel empowered. So how to be a sponsor? The question, how to be a sponsor? Find a person. This is more for those sponsors, for the leaders and for management and even faculty. How can you be a better sponsor? First of all, find a person to sponsor. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen that I am more qualified, but I didn't have that sponsorship, so others get those opportunities. This is just in my career, in history of my career. I'm not just specifically talking about my current position, just in general. Find a person to sponsor. Listen to their experiences so you can learn about the struggles or the skills and how they want to grow. And of course, volunteer your sponsee for work opportunities. Help them lead a meeting, even if, starts with a meeting, lead a meeting. Help them lead a project. Take those baby steps and try to cultivate that relationship so it can be a fruitful one. I am very grateful that my director, my manager, I had a conversation with him. It was about 2 years ago. And I told him, I want more. I want to grow professionally. I'm ready to get out of that little bubble that I've been in for so many years. And he found that opportunity for me to go through that leadership academy through the HETS, which was the start of what I'm here, of why I'm here today. It started with an idea. Latinas in IT. And it's continued to grow. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, I've been presenting this. I presented in Puerto Rico. In fact, and when I was in Puerto Rico, a girl comes up to me after the presentation and she wanted to take a picture with me. She thought, you said everything that I have experienced and that I've gone through. So thank you for having a voice. And just having that opportunity to just continue to have these conversations with our community. Is there anything you want to add, Sonia, before I move on to the last slide?
No, I think that's, I really agree and resonate with everything that you've said. This doing this experience with you and doing this presentation with you, I've been able to reflect a lot more on my experience and where I'm at, my journey. And I 100% agree that there is a problem. There is an existing problem in STEM, especially, well, it's not especially, specifically in IT and computer related careers with the lack of representation. And sometimes people might be like, well, why is it important for Latinas to be in STEM? Why is it important for them to be in IT? Well, because we're talking about the whole population here, especially here at a Hispanic serving institution, right? Especially here in the Inland Empire, where we have a very large Hispanic population. But even across the US, I think last I checked, Hispanics or Latinos make up about 60 million people in the United States. So let's just say that women females are half of that. So that's 30 million people in the United States here. They deserve representation in these areas that are growing, in these careers that are growing, in these areas that are creating technologies that affect our everyday lives. This representation is important because they can bring new ideas, new innovation to these areas. And so it's something that I think that we could address. It's not going to be done very easily, but it can be addressed with these steps that we've talked about, by outreach, by reaching these communities before they get to college. When they get to college, make sure they are empowered, make sure they have the resources that they need to succeed. And then, of course, by mentoring them and by sponsoring them too.
Yes, agree. I didn't add this to the slide, but there was 5 beneficial reasons to mentor underrepresented minorities. So Dr. Byers-Winston did a study, and she's a professor of internal medicine at the Madison University. And she investigated how to mentors, how to define diversity, and developed and define ways to measure the impact of mentored research. So her outcomes show the 5 beneficial reasons to mentor underrepresented minorities. The first one is diversity drives innovation. So, and I truly agree, people from diverse backgrounds who collaborate on team projects can produce innovative ideas because of their different cultural perspectives. So let me just pause for a moment. I work in the Technology Support Center. So when we get our Spanish speaker parents, our students that are bilingual, that when they're stressed, they want to speak their native tongue, those calls are transferred to me. And I sit there and I go through the process and I just explain every detail by detail in Spanish. And I cannot tell you how many times they will call me back for other things, not even related to technical issues, but because the cultural aspect, they feel comfortable with someone of their same, background. Another reason is racial, ethnic minorities and women are 2 of the largest segments of the workforce. And we see that minority women are the largest segments in the workforce. The third finding was that the job growth for STEM occupations is extremely high, and it means job security, working with cutting edge technology, and your skills are transferable. I know that technology is part of our country's culture. So it's just evolving. So there's so many opportunities, so many possibilities to pursue a career in STEM, and the possibilities are endless. And the last one was that STEM jobs yield incredibly high salaries. And Sonia did show the graph that show that. So STEM workers earn about 26% more than non-STEM workers. So, and this is reflective in the different fields. So all of this can help. And then lastly is a call to action. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a project that began with it started with an idea, Latinas in IT. And it's a project that I'm continually working on. So I have a call to action for anyone that might be interested in partnering with me, in partnering and just provide, if they have, the skills that we're looking for mentorship, or, any ideas that can help me in this project, you can definitely contact me. Let me just put that one more time. The information is there. And then moving on to our final slide, which is our questions. If there are any questions, you can start asking on the chat. Sonia, do you mind helping me look to see if there's any questions, please?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't look like there's any questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
Or does anyone have any comments, any
Yeah.
experiences to share?
Oh, I see one, I think. How young should girls, okay, Jeanette Lee is asking, how young should girls be to be considered careers in tech? Well, that's a good question, Jeanette. I'm just going to give you my perspective in the research that I've been doing. So there was a group of students that I talked to. They were in 6th and 7th grade, and their attention span was not there as far as, hey, the importance of careers in technology. So I'm going to say 9th grade is a good way, because that's when they're starting high school. But that's just my perspective. Sonia, do you want to add something to that one?
Yeah, I would say like 8th or 9th grade, because I'm just thinking back on my experiences. 8th grade is when they start talking about college. You should start thinking about what you want to do. You should start thinking about what classes you have to take in high school. Are you going to take what AP classes are you going to take? What electives are you going to be taking? So these are conversations that we could start having with the students towards the end of their middle school time. And then in high school, really just start showing them the different options, the different routes that they could take. And just say, hey, like, if you're interested in art and stuff, well, there's digital design that you could go into. That's also, computer related job. So just start telling them about these things at a younger age.
Yeah.
So I would say middle school, high school.
So I have another panelist, Sunny Lin, that wants to make a comment. Go ahead. We can't hear you, Sunny. I don't know if you're ready.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Regarding to the how young, I think as soon as actually as early as possible. That's the experience from my daughter. From early on, she was very interested in the math and science.
Yeah.
I really encouraged her to go through that route. Even was young as in the elementary school.
That's awesome.
So
Wow.
so that if they show that interest, if you
Right.
show that interest, you just try to encourage them to go through that route.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And every kid is going to be different. So, I agree. It's really, if you see that they have that interest, you're going to know early on. But there's some kids that take a little bit longer to, decide, even, it may take a little bit longer, but that's why this is important. So that's a great, thank you, Sunny, for your comment. Any other questions that our students or anyone that's joined this session may have, or if any other panelists may want to add to this conversation, please feel free.
And also, I have another advertisements. If you are interested in the woman in cybersecurity, please stay in the next sessions. We have Dr. Denise Kinsey. She is really a very good mentor and a good person. Will explain what happened in this woman in cybersecurity.
Wow, that's great.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I think that we have another question. So let's see. Oh, Kendra. This was a great session. Thank you, Jeanette and Sonia. Yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Kendra. I'm glad you were able to join us.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question or a statement, because we have a lot of students in the X-ray lab that are doing AR and VR. And we've had just a handful of girls in the program. And that's one of the things that we're trying to push, is get more Latinas involved in this. And I think, I mean, the presentation is amazing. And I think, but there's so many cultural pressures on Latinas to not go this direction, and trying to create, change those stereotypes and change those family dynamics of what the place of Latina is, instead of being, hey, you know, jump and be the head, go into technology and be a leader there. And that's and I think the Latinas bring in such a different life experience that's needed, especially when we're working with the VR and AR technologies. I'll give you a quick example. Is one of the things that we're creating in the X-ray lab is avatars that will, using natural processing and AI, to communicate with students. I mean, Sonia, you may have seen some of this in the kinesiology department that we're doing. But one of the things is we're looking at is we have to design these avatars in different ways, and think about trying to take bias out of it when you're having the AI is having that conversation with the student. And that's a place where having a Latina could help drive some of the questions and answers. The one that we have in our department right now, many times we've had to go to her going, what's your view of this? How should we ask that question? Because it's going to be kind of different from a 53-year-old mixed guy and a number of our students are Latinos, but you know, it's a different perspective. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think we have any other questions, and we are running about.
Let me ask you one more question. And this is for me. What do you think would be the best way we can really promote and get more Latinas coming into the X-ray lab and just being in charge? I mean, this is something we really need to focus on. What's like the one thing we can just go out and say, we can do this tomorrow and start doing it?
I think social media is so, and I don't use social media, but I'm finding that social media is the best way to reach our students, because we are in a world, we live in a time that kids cannot be away from the phones. So I'm finding innovative ways to share that to those social media platforms is key. Another thing, advertising on our marquee, using our marquee to just put those quick little flyers out there or announcements or something out there to catch their attention as they're driving. Just think about different ways, sending messages to students. Hey, we have this going on if you're interested. Partnering with the departments, to see if they can also help promote this. I think that would be a start. I don't know, Sonia, what you think?
Yeah, no, social media is like the #1 thing. That's where all my students I know have like Discords. That's where they all talk about us. And so social media, really showing them about this opportunity. But sometimes you might need to reel them in. And so maybe have some sort of like giveaway. Oh, come visit the lab, and then you be part of this giveaway or for it. But I think the problem is that once the students get to college, they kind of already have an idea of what route they're going to take. And they very likely don't know that a lot of times they're just not interested in tech. And that's more of a societal and cultural issue. As you had mentioned with Latinas, I was raised to, you're going to be a housewife, you're going to do this, and you're going to, you can finish a degree and that's going to be it. You need to get married and you have kids and all this stuff. And that's something that happens a lot, especially with first generation students where their parents are immigrants and they're almost molded to be this way. And so that change is going to have to happen within our own community. Like us first generation, second generation people really need to change that dynamic within our own community so that our Latinas can start going into this direction.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what we probably need to do is have another conversation, but just focus on this, and work with ASI and work with a couple of other groups and kind of figure out how to better target that specific group and get into what the Latinas on our campus and our surrounding community. Because Sonia, you bring a good point. Is that it's right. It's before. It's the coming out of high school, even junior high. How do we get deeper in to start getting those girls to think differently now? You know, at that age, before they come here, and you're right. It's not ingrained in their head that this is their life path, but they've got other choices.
Yeah.
James, I think that will be a perfect track for the Tech Talk.
I think it will be. That's gonna be sometime in April, and I have to schedule that still. But I'm thinking that because of the seriousness of this, this is something that I should hit you two up pretty soon and go, hey, you know, we need to kind of focus on this, because we're only down to, in the X-ray lab, we're only down to we have 2 Latinas and that's it. Oh my God, we need some
in my computer science courses, I always only have like 1 or 2 females.
Well, then you know what? Then it's easy to find them, and then we can get their friends.
Yeah.
I think I'm the lucky one. I have about 10 female students in my advanced computer network class.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna be hitting up Sunny
Yeah.
and start the process
Start
there.
recruiting.
And then, and I know we're still on topic. We've got some time. But Professor Kaniski, I want to ask you, because I know over at Palm Desert, I've been there a number of times, and there's a great opportunities to try to get those students over here, and for that Latino population, and that's even a little different than this population over here and at San Bernardino.
It is. It is. Now, one of the things that they're doing there at the main campus, I don't know if you have worked with Dr. Colson, but they have been doing Gen Cyber, where they're bringing students in. And the last several years has been the Girl Scouts. So it is a predominantly female population that they're trying to encourage. I've been working in this area. Usually I am the token female on the team. So I've always been the one with these initiatives to try to drive more women, minorities, those with disabilities, veterans, everybody into the field. It works, but it's gonna leapfrog at some point. But the problem is we need to get that build up, because the more people can see themselves in the person that they're looking to as the professional in the job or something like that, the more likely they are to join. I'm a middle-aged woman. These kids don't see themselves as me. I'm the age of their grandparent. So, you know, so as we keep reaching down, and as young people keep joining the clubs and the groups and the activities, and these things become more and more available to them, we are seeing an increase. When I went through my computer science programs, I was the only woman, period. I was the only woman in the entire program, not only class, program.
Wow.
So that was back in the 80s, but it makes a difference, you know, and I guess honestly, I didn't really have a problem with it. And I've been very fortunate. My mentors have all been men who are gracious with their time, their skills, and their talents, and help to encourage me to move forward. Not saying I didn't encounter some stinkers that would be mean or try to keep me back. I teasingly call myself the token, because actually I had a guy on a team call me token, and he thought that was going to stop me or get me to quit. And not only did I not quit, I ended up getting invited to the security team, and my career just took off, and he retired from the same position he had when I knew him back in the 90s. It makes a difference, you know, giving them the opportunities, I think, is so important, and encouraging them. But it's also not going to just be young women who start out in IT and cyber. In cyber, the cool thing is we need everybody's perspective, because cyber touches everything from the physical locks on your doors and windows, to the programming, to the technologies, to the way that users behave because of social engineering and everything else, to digital forensics, to risk assessments and everything else. We need people of all backgrounds, because you're going to look at the problem differently. You're going to offer solutions differently. And it really is the best possible world for an inclusive environment that anybody could join. So hopefully we'll get that outpouring of folks that are interested and start to see some more diversity in it.
Absolutely. I think this is the one thing. I'm glad we're having this little conversation within this strategic plan conversation, because I think when you really get down to it, I think this is probably one of the most important things that we can do as faculty and staff at this institution is really trying to bring in more women and Latinas in this conversation, because you need everybody mixed in this thing, and you need that diversity because we're all looking at it very differently. And so far, let's see how you guys do, because so far I think the most important conversation has been this one. We're gonna see how we build on this thing. So hey, thank you, Jeanette and Sonia. It was, I mean, I've got to hear bits of it. Jeanette, I'm gonna be at EDUCAUSE also, so I get to listen to you again. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you. And I said, this is probably extremely important, and we really need to look at this as an action item. And push
Oh, it
this
is
more
for
forward.
sure.
Yeah.
And we'll start off
For
with
sure.
Sunny's class of students, because we already offered them up.
Yeah, actually, Jeanette, even I'm not woman, but I am not the Latinos. But if you need help,
I
will
do need
to
help, Sonny. I will be needing help. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is a community.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be part of this thing, not
Yeah.
just one.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you very
everyone.
much. I
right,
greatly
thank you.
appreciate it.